Hi, it's Veronica with the Crafty Oasis. Today I'm going over how to make an invoice in Canva. If you don't actually want to make it yourself, I do have a template link in the description so you can customize that in a Canva account. So we've all probably received invoices, but I know myself when I started my businesses years ago, I was really confused about how to actually make an invoice. So in your payment processor such as Square or Stripe, you can create an invoice from there. But if you wanted to send it where you have a little more control over the invoice number, the description, things like that, that's what this tutorial is for today. So this is what it looks like when you print it out. This is the template with my watermark, but it just gives you an idea. And so now we're going to go over into Canva and get started on the design process.
Okay, so now that we're in Canva, we're going to click Create a Design, and we'll select a US letter, which is 8.5 by 11. Once we do that, we can start by adding decorative elements. So we'll go over to Elements and we'll type in square. Make sure you select the square shape because that allows you to manipulate the size, shape, and color. So you could do square or rectangle. So I'm going to input that. And I changed that to the gold that matches my brand color for my remote liaison, which is my virtual assisting business. And I stretch it across the top. You don't have to do this. You can make it bigger or smaller. It's just a decorative element. And then I'm going to duplicate that and add it to the bottom, but I'm going to make the bottom rectangle smaller. And I have the QR code memorized for the gold. I'm sorry, not the QR code, the hex code, which is the individual color code. If you don't, you can just find it by using the color picker. You can go to Brand Kit if you have Canva Pro, or you can also watch my brand swatch video, which shows you how to make a brand swatch that you can actually print out and have on hand, so you don't always have to flip through digital files when you're designing. So I added a text box and I just titled it Invoice because what you're seeing here is me creating the template that's available for business owners to customize on my website. And that is a free template. So now I'm going to add a little section that says add your logo here. I'm adding some other decorative elements like this line. I think the line is a nice divider. It shows information on top, and then on the bottom it'll show the due date and payment and things like that. Okay, next to where you would add your logo, I have another text box that says your email, and then another text box where you would put your phone number. Or you could put your website and your email if you're not comfortable with putting your phone number. It's just up to you, but I think that just makes it look more professional because then your clients can reach out to you if there is a question or a concern. And it's also better for your record keeping as well. And all of this is what you would fill out yourself. So all of these boxes that I'm adding are the parts that would be customizable for you. Next, we're going to add the box to input the client or customer information. So we'll just duplicate the invoice title, we'll change the size, and we'll put in customer name, customer phone number, email, etc. So that way you can keep track of the individual who this invoice is intended for. We'll group those 3 text boxes, duplicate and paste those onto the other side. So those fields will be for invoice date, deposit due date if you have a deposit due, and then also invoice due date. And we'll also duplicate that one more time for another field that we'll see below in just a moment. There are different type of invoices, and some may require a deposit, some may just be due on receipt, pay in full. So I did put deposit due date up here just in case that's an option for you. Then we'll also put the invoice due, because the deposit due date and the invoice due date are different. And so we're going to also duplicate the invoice one more time so that we can create title. So this is like the individual client. The way that I do it is the individual client's invoice. So John Smith's invoice down here, or for whichever project you're working on. You can do it either way, however you prefer. I find it helpful to create invoice codes and numbers. So numbers are non-negotiable for invoices generally, but the code is really up to you. So for instance, if I'm doing a budgeting workshop, the code for might be BW and then whichever number in sequential order. So if I'm on 5, it might be BW0005. And I add those extra zeros in front so that I can allow for 1,000 or 10,000 of that same category. And so that might be something that you'll want to implement as well. It just helps to keep everything organized, and it's very clear for tax purposes and for record keeping. I want to include the date of service, customer or client ID, and then in this example I put business consulting as the invoice code. So the more detailed you can make this, the better all of your records will be, and it's just going to make everything run smoother, especially if you have to refer back to this in the future. Next, we are going to add a table which will show how the payment is broken down and the itemization of the things in the invoice. So we go to elements and then we type in table, and I just select the first one. Then what we'll do is we'll click on either the row or a column, and you can add or delete columns as you need to by selecting the 3 dots and then either selecting add column or add row or delete column and delete row. So for my column, I'm going to title them item, and so I'm duplicating the title several times. You can double click and just type in the table, but I want it to be the same size as the rest of those, but it's up to you. Quantity, so I abbreviate that with QTY. You can spell out the whole word or put in a number. This is just how I set it up for myself and what makes the most sense for me, but you can customize it to your liking, of course, for your business and flow. So we've got price in the third box, and then in the last one we'll go ahead and put total. So that way we will know that we're adding across from left to right. So we've got the item, the number times the price equals the total. I have grouped and duplicated all of the information, like the code and service date, and I duplicated that, put that beneath the table, and then made that items total, discount, sales tax, and grand total. Not all of these may apply to you. If they don't, great, but that way you have a box to actually put that in. And then I'll have a little message about remitting payment and how they should go about that. I like to give people options, so I have a place for a QR code here. You can actually add a QR code in Canva. I believe it's only for Pro, but I'd have to double check that. You can create a free QR code elsewhere and then just upload it as an image. but for this template I just put to add the QR code for them to scan, and then also in the remit payment message I would also just include a link as well to however they can pay. Next, you can add any notes for that particular client or project, and then you'll go ahead and share by going up to share, selecting PDF, and then you can download so that way you have it for the future. I do have a link on my website if you don't want to go through these steps to create your own. It is a free template link so that you can, or you can also just follow this tutorial and make your own. So either way, thank you so much for watching, and if you found this helpful, please save and share. Thank you so much. Have a great day.